You're listening to the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast with Terrence Murphy, where we cover sales, investing, and entrepreneurship with an emphasis on real estate. Each podcast, Terrence and his guests will bring you informative and inspiring information within the real estate industry.
Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Entrepreneur. And I always start off with a quick quote. This one is, after all, we're all real estate brokers, not doctors. Nobody dies because we take a night off. Cliff Peretti. So yeah, that's a good quote because it just reminds people like you can work yourself in the ground if you're not careful. So you got to make sure you find that balance. But my guest today is Van Sturgeon. Van Sturgeon is a general contractor and real estate investor for over 30 years who owns 1,200 doors. Van is currently semi-retired and helps multifamily investors successfully plan and manage renovation value-add projects to reach their investment goals. And welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, man. So we always start off with people kind of going through just a quick summary of who they are and how they got into real estate, and just kind of tell me how you stumbled upon it or your story on how you got into real estate.
I came from a background of immigrant parents who came to this country and lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Chicago. And my parents were saving up their money to be able to buy their first dream home. And in the process, as they're saving up their money, they found out that the apartment building that they're renting from had gone up for sale. So they went out and they purchased it. They put down payment, and they became landlords. And it was a fully occupied building. But during that period of time, it was in the late 70s. And all of a sudden, things started to change in Chicago, like pretty much the rest of the country. Interest rates started to go up 18, 20%. The economy was horrible. It was just a miserable time. It was a ran hostage situation during that time. And all of a sudden, that little beautiful building that was fully occupied, all of a sudden was suffering through vacancies. We ended up getting 40, 50, 60% vacancies. And a lot of landlords were in that area on that street, couldn't hold on, and were literally torturing their buildings to collect insurance money. And so it was during that period of time that was the only thing that we had. And as a family, we did everything possible to be able to hold on to that investment. So from painting, cleaning toilets, painting, whatever we needed to do on that building, we went out and we did. And that's how we survived. And it's from that background, that upbringing is when I went off to university, graduated. Could have gone into law school, but I made a decision to go into general contracting. Broke my parents' heart. And in Chicago, in the late 80s, I started running around on the hustle, trying to develop a business. And what that eventually led to running into the same people, these real estate investors. And then I got involved in my first flip was in 1991. Did very well. And I got hooked on real estate investing. So one hand, I was building and developing a successful general contracting business. And then at the same time was growing my real estate portfolio. And ultimately, I got involved in property management, home building, restoration work on the commercial buildings. And I've got approximately right now around 1,200 doors spread across 4 places in North America. So I'm semi-retired right now. I've got some really great people that I partner up with and employees that look after my businesses. And really, I'm just taking time to downshift in my life and just really appreciate the things that I've been blessed with. And so that's why I'm out there right now preaching a good word with regards to this particular aspect that a lot of people don't talk about in the real estate investing game. And a lot of people glorify the whole idea of running around and finding a great deal and raising money and that kind of stuff. But nobody wants to talk about the renovation, that contractor you can't find, or how do you figure out where to find, which you've got limited budgets, which direction you go in terms of you fix this or do that. And those are those types of things that I've developed over the years. I've literally done thousands of renovations. I've got systems and processes that I develop, and I'm out there talking to people, as many people as I can, to get out the good word, because there's a lot of Hollywood screwed up this whole renovation thing. You see these TV shows, and and it's so beautiful. You just knock down a wall, Terrence, and poof, and everything is renovated in 30 minutes. But the whole cold hard reality is when you knock that wall down and the camera gets pulled away, it turns into millions of pieces, and it's not easy. It's not easy to go through a renovation or rehab or value add process. So that's what I'm out there talking about.
Man, that's awesome, bro. I love it. Well, I want to dive into that, man, and really understand how and why that process has become really arduous because, like you said, HGTV makes it look easy and it's not. So what is that process? If I want to go and identify a property, if you just walk me through it as a beginner, what does that look like?
Sure. Well, always starts with finding a great deal. And oftentimes real estate investors migrate to that MLS, Realtor, Zillow, and think that they're going to find a great opportunity there. And you and I know that that's not where you cut deals. You find opportunities on the off-market side, relationships you create with other real estate investors, agents, wholesalers, mortgage brokers, property managers, a whole host of characters that are out there. So once you've identified you got that great deal, ultimately the first thing I tell people is you got to figure out what is exactly you want to do. What is your goal? So if you're looking to do a flip, how much money are you looking to make on that flip? If you're going to rent out that house or the duplex or whatever you got, what's the rent? How much are you looking to raise it? And you go out there in the marketplace and you validate it. You've got to do some really on a granular level. You got to get out there and look at the comparable properties that have sold or have rented and distill all that information to figure out what it is that you need to do your renovation. And once you've done that, then you need to figure out how much money you have in a budget. Not necessarily the amount of money that you have in hand, but also where are you going to find, if there's lines of credit, hard money lenders that you're going to get involved in on that aspect. You got to figure out that dollar amount because that is what our budget is. And once we've got that budget down, we got to get into the next step, which is what I call a needs and wants list. And really, you go around and you from the exterior and interior of the property, you really quantify what exactly needs to be done to this property. And so on that big old list of yours, you're going to create a need side and a want side. And the need side is something that needs to be done, something like a hole in the roof, a pothole in a driveway that's going to cause somebody to trip and fall. Those types of things are needs that need to be addressed. But on the want side are things that, if you had money in your budget that you would look after. So for example, lime green carpet from the 1980s that was serviceable is something that you would put on the want side that if you had money in the budget, you would use toward replacing it. But if you don't have money in the budget, you leave it alone. A lot of new real estate investors jump in and immediately think that windows that are 30, 50 years old, that they have to be replaced. And that often isn't the case. It all depends on the amount of money that you have in your budget and also what the market has told you. If the market has told you that in order for you to get $1,200 a month in rent or to get $60,000 in a flip that you need to replace the windows, then you go ahead and you figure out where you got to find the money to do that. But not necessarily is the case. Oftentimes people get involved in these huge, big renovations and that isn't how, that's not how you make money. For example, I got a client who was just talking to several days ago out south of Atlanta, Georgia, who's looking at purchasing a 6-unit building, got a phenomenal off-market deal. Currently, the property is generating on average of $350 in rent, and market rent in that marketplace is $750. So as soon as he buys it, he's thinking about doing renovations, spending $50,000, $80,000. They said, no, don't spend anything. Just clean the place up and just raise the rent up to $500 to $600. You're already doubling up the NOI on it. So why blow your brains out on spending money on things like that? So those are the types of things that I come across in terms of my involvement with folks. Once you've been able to really identify that list, then you go off to the next step, which is creating a detailed scope of work. And that's an actual document that oftentimes on the single family home side, the residential side, a lot of people don't do anything about that. They don't write a document about that. But on the commercial side, like I've done thousands of renovations in my through my 30 some odd years of doing this. And it's rarely that you find in the commercial side that a detailed scope of work isn't actually done. Like it's completed. And that's what you go out there in the marketplace and tender. But on residential side, it's hardly ever done, and that's a problem, and that's why we have so much confusion and difficulties associated with identifying contractors and making sure that they're doing what you're expecting them to do. Hopefully, that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. So if I were brand new, right, and you gave me a tool to start my first reno, do I think about the Bird method? Do I think about ARV? You have all these catchy phrases that are thrown out and thrown around. What are those? Hey, if you walk me through it, here are the 3 things you need, and here is the main focus of that project. What would that be?
I think that the burst strategy is probably the best method for a new real estate investor to get in, because it forces new real estate investors to find a great opportunity, a great deal at such a low price that it accounts for the amount of money that they're going to be spending in renovations and also pulling out equity at the end of the day. And that's the whole process. And so the burst strategy would be something that I would be encouraging people to get into. That's how I built my business in the beginnings through JVs. And then I had businesses that were generating cash flow that I kept throwing into my businesses. I never set up a syndication because I never had to. I had always had joint venture opportunities associated with doing that. So, first, there's a lot of first steps, a lot of things that new investors should be doing when they're getting into it. They really want to get serious about it. And one of them is to really figure out that certain components associated with that burst strategy, which would be finding a great deal and identifying truly exactly what it is that renovation rehab cost is, making sure that you don't renovate the property. I find oftentimes a lot of folks that walk into this and they don't have the coaching or somebody with some experience, mentoring them through the way, that they start to over renovate things, or they start doing things on their own. And then all of a sudden a reno that will take 60 days turns into being 120. And then the hard money lender is sitting there knocking on your door every month saying, where's my money? Where's my money? And ultimately, the money that you're supposed to make, you didn't make because you spent too much money. It took you too long. So, yeah.
Yeah, because cycle time is really important. I don't think people really get it, when you got interest carrying, like you said. So that's one of my questions for you. If I'm walking through this as a new investor and I hear all these different ways to get money and OPM, other people's money, right? So you got lines of credit, hard money lending, private equity. Which one do you think is the best for a new investor?
For a new investor to come in, this is the long game. There's a couple of things that they need to do. First of all, I would document that whole experience and process and start using social media because a lot of folks really gravitate those types of individuals that are starting and sharing, and they're natural and they're truthful in their interaction on social media. So Instagram stories and stuff like that. I would be advocating for people to do that because you start to create an audience around you, followers. And then those followers who don't have the intestinal fortitude to be able to make that first step forward may very well knock on your door and say, hey, let's work together. Here's money for the next project. So I would start them off on starting that. Next thing I would suggest is you got to have some, in lieu of experience of saying, hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. You got to have some type of a portfolio, some type of a case study that you've developed on your own. You said it just says, if I bought this property, 123 Main Street for this amount of money, and I spent this much money on renovations, and I did it in this period of time, and I generated this much money in profit. Is this something that, first of all, you visualizing it on your own, you see what you need to do, but also at the same time, you can present it to possible investors in a group like a real estate investment association, something like that, where I'm encouraging people to be doing that as well. And that way you're building that to be able to find people to be able to support you in that endeavor. And also you're getting into practices of doing the arithmetic and what you need to do to be able to acquire a property.
Mm-hmm. So if I ask you to single family, multifamily, everybody's got an opinion about which one you should get into. And how would you guide me on that question if I should do multifamily or single family getting in?
Well, the question, if somebody asks me that question, I'll answer the question by asking another question. If you're 16 years old, would you rather have them start driving a station wagon or a sports car? If you're 16 years old, you should start with a station wagon, single family home, cut your teeth on it because it's much smaller, much more manageable. And then once you've got a couple of those suckers under your belt, then you elevate your game to that 6 unit, the 12 unit, the 10 unit. That's where I have worked with folks in the beginning in their real estate investments as I've through that process. And I've seen them elevate their game during doing that, because essentially it's the same process. It's just 10x when you get into the multifamily space.
There it is. There's a lot of wisdom in that. So next question, how important is it to have a mentor? Versus, like you said earlier, people are trying to figure it out on their own. They're doing the renovations on their own. How important is that? Do you feel like that really curves that time of, to really get the processes in place?
Well, I'm going to tell you that I'm a product of coaching and mentorship. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that individual stepped in at that right moment in my life and really got me to the point where I am today. I came from a mindset of we didn't have anything as a family. Like we were a family that would wait in line and get blocks of cheese and butter and artificial milk from the government because we didn't have much. Even though we had this building, we were what was it, cash poor, property rich, cash poor, whatever that saying is. That's who we were. And so I came from that mindset. So as I was just building my business on the general contracting side, doing these flips, I was literally burning the candle at both ends. I had to do everything myself to save money, or I was the only one that could do it right. And I ended up sleeping on job sites, and I had been newly married. I didn't even go on my honeymoon. I went, did the wedding thing, and I went back to work. And it got to the point where I was one night I was sleeping at a job site, and I woke up at 2:00 in the morning. I'm staring at this freshly painted ceiling, and I'm like, "What the heck am I doing with my life?" Yes, I'm doing great things, but at some I'm not enjoying it, and this is craziness. And so, thankfully, there was a real estate investor I had come across in Chicago who was an older gentleman, but he had everything that I wanted. He was fit, he was tan, he had a beautiful portfolio of properties, he had a vacation home, he had everything I wanted. And I really went to him because I was at a crisis in my life. And he took me under my wing. He charged me a lot of money, but as a coach mentor, he showed me what it was that I was doing wrong, showed me the processes and system implement in my life, and stop being a micromanager, stop being a guy working in the business, but working on the business.
There it is.
And that's how I skyrocketed. And then I got involved, and then my business started to grow dramatically. I started to get involved, and I started to scale. I got to the point where I had a portfolio of 100 some odd doors, and then I got into property management. And because of the relationships I had through general contracting, working on other real estate investors' portfolios, those portfolios ended up coming to me. So I was able to successfully build a property management company. And then from there, I got into home building. I've been very, very blessed, but it was because of that individual who stepped in at the right place at the right time that put me in the direction where I am today.
Love it.
So I'm a big proponent of coaching and mentorship. It's like this. I always say to people, if you want to learn how to play a guitar, you can go run out and buy that instrument, and you can watch YouTube YouTube videos and read books till you're blue in the face. In a couple of years, you might be able to figure out how to play a song or two on that thing. Or you hire a guitar teacher and sits you right down, and if you mistake, they teach you they tell you what you're making a mistake, or they stop you upside his head to encourage you. Whatever it takes, you're gonna learn a lot quicker to play that guitar versus if you were to if you're going to do it on your own. So I'm a big proponent of coaching, mentorship. I've done so many seminars. I've done a lot in my lifetime, and every single one of them, I've been able to grab something from it and incorporate in my life. So I'm a big proponent of it.
No, I love it. There's a quote that says, people talk about the cost of a book or coaching, but they don't think about the cost of being in the same place next year. And so that's deep, man. Well, I got this one section. It's called Coming In Hot. We're going to hit this one pretty quick. And so we're going to time you. So we got this thing we've been joking around with, but we're going to make it fun where we're timing people on how fast they can answer the questions. So it's 5 questions, and you'll just answer it in one word or one answer. You ready, brother?
Go ahead.
All right. So college degree or no college degree?
Absolutely, college degree teaches you systems and processes that you can use for the rest of your life.
Yep. What was your greatest challenge as a child?
No money. It was difficult times.
Yep. What was your first attempt at entrepreneurship?
We lived close to a supermarket, and they had this promo where you collect a bunch of receipts, and if you collected so many dollar amounts of receipts, you were able to get a big prize, like a toaster or something like that. So me and my younger brother, we would go around the parking lot collecting receipts that would be flying off the wind. We would go up to people and say, "Hey, can we get your receipt?" And we gather them up and end up with like 7, 8 toasters.
There it is. Love it. What was the worst real estate advice or entrepreneur advice you've ever gotten? The worst.
The worst is you got to work really hard and make sure that everything is perfect. And that's I've learned very quickly that 80% is good enough.
And who is that one person that made the biggest impact on your career? You might have already hit that.
I mentioned that person, my mentor, that really elevated my game and brought me to where I am today.
There it is. Minute 13. Minute 13.
Sorry, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy to be talking. I talk too much. I'm not the guy for this guy.
No,
I knew I was going to lose that one.
No, it's good, man. It's good. Well, I got some more questions, man, and that we can jump into, and then so what have you learned you feel like that's not on people's radar right now in the real estate industry that you think should be on their radar?
Like I touched on earlier, man, I think that you need to go out there and market yourself. And so I strongly encourage people that social media, doing what I'm doing with you, podcasts, getting in front of people, making people aware of that kind of stuff, being vulnerable is something that people need to do.
Yep, love it. So I got 3 questions again that are going to kind of go back to back to back. What's the secret to good time management? Because obviously, like you said, you've learned a lot over the years trying to do it all yourself. What's the secret to good time management?
Waking up early, at least for me, and you need to plan out your day and try to get the hardest stuff done in the beginning where you got a lot of juice and energy and in time, and then make sure that you block off these activities and hold yourself accountable to get these activities done within that period of time. So, for example, if I'm answering emails, I'm going to make sure that I get all my emails answered within that hour. And then over a period of time, if you really want to get even more efficient, you start to decrease that over a period of time so that you're going snack and you're shortening, you're providing the same amount of impact, but in less time. Because I find that at least for myself, if I don't have that, I start to aimlessly, and I don't get to the heart of the issue, dealing with it and moving on.
Love it, love it, love it. And then what's the secret to, I put good branding, but I want to pivot it. What's the secret to creating deal flow? Like where you start, like you said, people start seeing you as an operator or a person who executes. Like what do you think that is?
It always comes down to you got to get out there in the marketplace and create relationships with the people that are in the industry. So you create a power team. That's how I call them. So if I'm doing business in Cleveland, I've got people in Cleveland I created personal relationships with, like real estate agents and mortgage brokers and property managers and wholesalers. I'm joining my local RIA. I'm in my Facebook group over there. And through those relationships of knocking on doors, being a nice guy, you'd be amazed at what kind of information flows and opportunities. From every single one of those people I listed, there's an opportunity of creating win-win situations. You just got to get out of your comfort zone and do that. Be that first person to reach it out and create that relationship.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. What's this is a weird question, but I'm asking anyway. What's the craziest story or situation you've had in real estate? Kind of that, like, man, that happened.
I've got so many of them, but the one that I just thought of that actually, I don't know if it's funny or not. It was an elderly gentleman, off market, knocked on his door, had a property, and a couple of doors down, it was a property that looked a bit malign. I knocked on the door, talked to the gentleman. We agreed on a price. I didn't know where he was going, but we agreed on a price. Got to the point of the close, and unfortunately, man passed away. And that was the end of the deal. And then the sons and the daughters got involved, and it was an opportunity where I was already there on the street, and I was willing to take his property and do what I needed to do. And because the gentleman passed away, that was a deal that didn't go through. So things like that happen.
Wow. I've been involved in 6,000 transactions. I've never heard of that. That is outside the box. And
and I could have, if I had pursued it, I might have been able to still make a deal with the estate, but it was right there. And maybe legally I could have done something and forced the situation, but how can you? The person died, so that was the end of that.
Yeah, for sure. What's the top technology that you're using now that has really helped you scale your business? Is there, like a technology that you use, a CRM, a management software? Is there any tech that you're using that's supporting you?
Every single one of those things, from Trilio to CRMs, like Bitrex is a CRM that we use. There's all a bunch of things that we incorporate. As many advances we can put in our business to create efficiencies, we do. From Slack is another one. Depending on the project that we're all working on, we also incorporate that as well. So I'm a big advocate of it. I think it's tremendous. It's truly amazing. Over the last, I come from a point. Like I'm 30 years I've been doing this, and you've been doing it for a while too. And I can remember the good old days with the yellow pages. There's no, that's where I come from.
Yeah.
Now, I'm talking to you and through this miracle of technology. And I have clients who are in Arkansas and in California, and I'm talking to them, and they're walking through a property, and they're asking me questions, and we're jibber jabbering over this medium. It's amazing how much efficiencies we've been able to create, and how we can impact people's lives. So, there's so many of them that it's not really one that I can name. Like even within our own operation, we've created, like a renovation calculator where we have an itemized list of things that we, when we're assessing the costs associated with a renovation rehab, and it acts as a checklist also, the things that we developed on our own, but definitely a big proponent of technology. And I'm sure everybody would appreciate that. We need to have it. We need to have that in order to be able to have an edge.
Yeah, I know. That's good. Yeah, Slack's it's a good thing to use for sure. Last couple questions, bro. So we call this our moonshot. It's to the moon, right? And so what's that one dream or goal that you've had or you're chasing that people thought was impossible and crazy to achieve?
For me, I have transitioned into my life to helping people. And I truly do it because I enjoy it. It isn't because I need money. I do it because I see the impact that I make in people's lives, because they struggle with this whole real estate business. There's so many nuances, so many different aspects associated with it. So I help people through it, and I enjoy that. And my really moonshot goal is that I can help. I want to be able to look back 10, 20 years from now and say that I was able to create 1 million millionaires.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? If I was actually had that, if I could point to that, I would be truly blessed. I think, and every time that I have clients and they reach success, it really fills my heart. And I'm really actually right now I'm in Cincinnati visiting clients of mine, and also then I'm moving off to Louisville, not because I have to, it's just because they're like my children. I enjoyed the interaction. I enjoyed seeing them come to that point where they're moving, they're grooving, they're scaling. And so I'm here to go visit them. And so I'm going to visit them with Cincinnati, and afterwards I'm going to Louisville.
Man, I love it. Man, I got to step my game up. My goal was 501 millionaires. So
no, hey, listen. I think if you get it set up properly, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I don't think it's impossible. It's a moonshot goal.
It is.
I don't think it's impossible to really reach that many people and teach them the systems and processes of what this whole real estate action game is. Because it's just a power of leverage.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people sitting on money. There's a lot of money floating around collecting 0 or 0.5% in interest. And the people don't want to put their money in places like the stock market, where today you're $10 and tomorrow you're $5. So there's opportunities out there to do that. And so I'd like to be a part of it. So that's my moonshot goal.
No, I love it, bro. Thank you for stretching me. So we always have our guests bring a book, and it's a book suggestion. You submitted Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Why did you submit that book, and how did it make an impact on you?
I think I'm a true believer in positive mindset, and that book is really the whole process and trying to advocate for that. And I think it's a book that truly everybody should, not only just a real estate investment, just in general, should be reading about. I think that in this universe, and I'm a believer of God, there's powers and there's laws of attraction, all that kind of stuff. And you really need to put yourself in a positive mindset, being positive. And it's amazing what you can accomplish in your life. I truly am blessed because I see it, everything that I've been able to, as I went through this whole life, I was thankful for everything that I was able to accomplish. We really are blessed. We live in the greatest country in the world. We have our 10 fingers and 10 toes, and we have wives, we have all this other stuff. Everybody's different, but everybody should be thankful for what they have. And if you start from that basis of positivity, that you're thankful for everything, it's amazing what can spring forward from that place of goodness and positivity.
Man, that's good, Van. That's a great reminder, bro. Well, final thoughts, man. We want to leave our audience, the real estate entrepreneur tribe, with a final thought from you. And then also, where can people find you if you want to drop that too, bro?
I'm going to leave them with this thought, and I'm pretty sure a lot of your folks and listeners have already know that real estate, the power of leverage is what differentiates you from being more successful. Ultimately, 90% of the billionaires out there are involved in real estate. Is the difference between getting involved in the stock market, Bitcoin, all this other stuff. real estate is the tried and true method. And I strongly encourage people, if you haven't, you should go out there and start doing it. And there's a lot of resources out there to be able to read and educate yourself and go out there and get involved, because there's it's the one vehicle that truly can get you to financial freedom, creating that generational wealth that you could pass on to future generations of your family. For folks that want to reach out to me or learn more about me, I'm all over the place on social media, Facebook and Instagram and things stuff like that. I have a website, vansturgeon.com. And for those individuals who want to learn more about real estate investing, in particular that renovation, rehab component, the value add, how to raise value, and the stuff that I mentioned today. There's a bunch of videos, articles that I've written, books, and other podcasts I've been on. I've been talking. This is who I am. Like there's not enough people. In fact, I don't know of anybody who actually is going out there in the marketplace and advocating what I am about that. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's all glorious stuff, flipping houses and Hollywood DIY and that kind of stuff. And I really want to get into the weeds and talk about what are the things you should be doing to be able to make sure that you're successful in real estate, because it's just as important as finding a great deal is making sure that you renovate it properly. Because I've seen many great deals get screwed up and lose money because of a contractor runs away with deposit money, or some work that has to be redone over again because it was done not well. So that's if people want to reach out to me, they're more than welcome to go to my website, and I love to talk to people. So through LinkedIn, you're more than welcome to reach out to me as well through that.
Man, thanks for your time, bro. We need to stay in touch, and yeah, man, I appreciate you being on the show, and thank you for just dropping all the gems and the wisdom.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and I wish you continued success. And if there's an opportunity to come back on your podcast and talk about specifically more about the renovation or whatever, like I love talking about this topic, more welcome to come.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Van.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy. Please subscribe on whichever platform you are listening and consider leaving a 5-star review, as that will help us gain traction and continue to bring you knowledge in the real estate industry. For more content, head over to terrencemurphy.com.